I still remember the first time I stepped into the Manila Film Center. It was the late 1980s, and I had just taken a job as a night guard. To me, it was just a building, another place to work. But as I would soon discover, that place was anything but ordinary. It started with small things, faint noises echoing through the empty halls. Late at night, when the world outside had gone quiet, I would hear voices, soft, almost like a whisper. At first, I thought it was my imagination playing tricks on me, but the voices would grow louder, more persistent, as if they were calling out to me. Sometimes it sounded like people crying for help. Other times, it was just a low, eerie murmur that sent chills down my spine. I tried to ignore it, convincing myself it was just the creaking of an old building settling in the night. But the sounds never stopped. One night, they were louder than ever. I followed them, moving from hall to hall, trying to find where they were coming from. But no matter how far I went, I couldn't pinpoint their source. It was as if they were coming from the walls themselves, like the building was alive and trying to reach out to me. Then there was the knocking. It started quietly, just a few taps at first. I shrugged it off as the wind or some loose part of the structure, but it kept happening. A distinct knock, and then another, always from different parts of the building, as if something was moving through the walls, trying to get my attention. It followed me, growing louder the longer I stayed. And the shadows. I'll never forget the shadows. They would appear in the corners of my vision, dark shapes moving along the walls. Whenever I tried to look directly at them, they would disappear. But I could feel them, like something was there, watching me, waiting. The cold air would press in around me, making it hard to breathe. The worst part was the sense of dread that came with it, like I was being pulled into something dark and terrible. But the night that broke me, what made me leave the job for good, was the night I saw him. I was walking my usual patrol route when I felt the temperature drop. I looked up, and there he was, a man, or at least what looked like a man, standing in the far corner of the room. He was covered in dust and cement, his clothes tattered and torn. His face was blank, no emotion, just this hollow, empty stare. He didn't say anything, didn't move. He just stood there, watching me. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would burst out of my chest. I blinked, just for a second, and he was gone. But that feeling of being watched, it never left. Even after he disappeared, I felt him there, lurking in the shadows, waiting. I tried to shake it off, to continue my patrol, but I couldn't. The fear was too much. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't close my eyes without seeing that man standing there, covered in dust, silently staring at me. I told my supervisor I wanted out. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't care about the pay. I just needed to leave that place. Whatever was there in that building, it wasn't natural. I didn't want to end up like those poor souls buried in the concrete. I still think about that job sometimes. The cries, the shadows, that man. I wonder if they were all in my head, just my imagination running wild. But deep down, I know what I saw, and I'll never go back.